right, everybody. Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Live with Daniel. Obviously, second show, so hopefully some of the jitters from the first show have gone. With me tonight is my guest. He's a man of many names. I know him as DarthBobCat, but he's also known as DB Fassbinder, and he is the author of Confessions of the Magpie Wizard series. And he's somebody I've known for a little while, and so it's good to be talking with him here on this stream. So, Bobcat, thank you for being here.
Glad to be here. Hello, everyone out there in Internet Radio Land. So,
go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you get into writing, and where you got the ideas for Magpie Wizard and all that good stuff.
Well, let's see. It's funny, like I always liked the idea of writing since I was a kid, just because you watch a certain amount of TV shows and you start realizing that somebody makes these. Like one of my things I like to do is spot the voice actor, and that's just that goes back to when I was younger and they had an issue of Disney Adventure where they had the voice actor for Darkwing Duck, and they had like the chart of, and he voices Pete on Goof Troop, and he's Lurch on the Assembly, and that just blew my mind that one person could do all that.
Yeah.
And so, but it's being a dumb kid, I always liked the idea of, I liked the idea of writing, but I didn't really write much. I dabbled in fan fiction through high school and college. Nothing that I would subject anybody to these days. And then I just took a long hiatus, and I always had some idea in the back of my head percolating, but I never really sat down and made it happen. Then, so let's put on you for a second. Where do you feel like you get your ideas? Do you get like an idea because it is something that just seems to come organically, or is it a response to something?
I would say probably a little bit of both. Yeah.
Now, see, in my case, I find that most of my best ideas are born out of spite. By which I mean, you watch a show or you read a story and you think to yourself, oh, come on. You had the perfect premise there. How did you make it boring?
Yeah.
And so that's how Magpie Wizard came about. You know how right now in anime, everybody's making an isekai story?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have forgotten that before the isekai boom, that what everybody was doing was trashy Harry Potter knockoffs.
Yeah.
Asterisk War, Irregular at Magic High, a couple others I can't think of the name of because I can't think of one of those that I actually enjoyed, but I loved the idea of it.
Yeah.
Because it was always we're going to have a magic school, but it's not going to be like Harry Potter, so it has a chance of being more interesting.
Yeah.
Only casting mild shade, but so around 2017 or so, I made my fourth attempt to watch Irregular Magic High. I tried it twice by myself, once with one group of friends, another with another group of friends, and I said to myself, okay, so you've got this series about a guy who has secret powers, and the first issue. First issue. I've been thinking about comic books too much. First episode is them walking down a hill to get ice cream.
Yeah.
I only exaggerate slightly.
Yeah. I watched that show a couple of times, and I'm still perturbed by the sister's affections towards her brother.
Yeah, why is the best girl a sister? And that's I know that's what kept drawing me back was I liked the character designs on just a surface level. And then around the same time, I had been listening to So you ever heard of the Flashman papers?
No.
It was something that I started listening to audiobooks of because I was listening to an old Andrew Klavan show, and he said, this is about the least politically correct book ever written. And what it's about is it's about this guy who he's from this famous series of novels called the Tom Brown or Tom Brown's School Days, who's a bully character who just leaves the book at one point because there's a line, and Flashman got beastly drunk and was expelled. And so the story starts off with Flashman, this 17 or I think 19-year-old kid at some boarding school getting drummed out and getting sent to India in the cavalry. And he's just this complete it's the best series about the worst person you'll ever read.
Oh.
It's like just his dry narration. He's a complete coward. He's always very honest about, I wasn't about to go fight that. No. So he survived all these huge military disasters of the 19th century. He was there at Little Bighorn on Custer's side by coincidence, and he was at Appomattox Courthouse and just all these ridiculous things. But so yeah, I strongly recommend it if you don't mind something being offended on the regular. But and also I had like a 5-year period where I was super into C.S. Lewis. Although weirdly, I didn't really like the fiction as much. I was more into like the philosophy and the essays and stuff.
Yeah.
But the one that really stuck out to me was the Screwtape Letters, which for anybody who doesn't know, that's basically about a devil exchanging a series of letters with his uncle about how to properly corrupt somebody. And so Magpie Wizard was kind of me going, okay, I like this whole Flashman style narrator here. I want to make a sort of a magic anime high school harem influenced thingy. And I want to, and why is he a secret? Let's make him a devil in the C.S. Lewis style.
Yeah.
And so I started my first draft in 2017, and it was called The Sociopath at Magic High School. Because the whole idea was that he was awful. Yeah. And then as I was writing it, he became a bit more human, and so things began to change. And so I've just been working on it ever since, off and on, mostly on ever since I had a Patreon. Since you got to keep them entertained. Yeah. And that's the long and short of it. So thank you, whoever decided to make the sister the romantic interest of regular Magic High. You helped me finish my first book.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So all right. So let's let me go ahead and show that off the book here. Here it is. This is the first one. I've actually gotten into it a little bit. Still need to finish it, but I'm liking what I'm reading so far.
Well, thank you. To be fair, I haven't read your stuff either. That's still being printed.
Yes. Give it time. but yeah. So yeah, I really like the idea that you of this guy who's just not who he says he is, and it's you kind of we're let in on a secret here. It's I like that approach to it.
Yep, and it's fun setting up the dominoes and to eventually have everything go completely wrong for him, which is what I'm currently writing.
Oh, well, all right then. Yeah, so I like the warning here down at the bottom. The story contains light sexual themes and other content that some readers may find objectionable. If it were a movie, it would be rated a light R or a heavy PG-13.
Right. I'm not dropping curse words all over the place. Like less than you'd see in a typical Netflix or broadcast or cable TV show these days. But
Yeah.
that's actually one of my favorite little details about the book series. It's like I had an editor complain about it once, but it makes sense in context. So it's a world where an army of devils, of rogue devils, invaded about 20 years earlier at the head of a fantasy army. So kind of reverse Gate, if you've seen that anime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because they were actually successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so humanity's been driven to the islands like England and Japan and the Southeast Asia and whatnot. And and one of the details is that because it's a world where devils have invaded, people have just stopped using words like damn and hell as curse words. Unless they really mean it. So you'll have somebody very angry go, now wait a dang minute here. What the heck is going on? And they'll mean it.
That is very clever. So one of the things that I've, of course, have seen, and of course this is one of the ways that you and I connected, and this, of course, this was through Micah Curtis's Discord server, was the fact that you and I have gotten a lot of artwork commissioned of our characters, and we've been, over the last last couple of year and a half, we've been exchanging different art pieces from of our different characters, and I gotta say, your one character, who I'm not sure, has she shown up yet in the books?
Yes. Book one, she would show up around between a quarter and a third of the way to. She's the last major character who was introduced.
Okay. Yeah, so that would be Mariko. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that considering that she isn't the romantic lead of these books, that I have so much art of her. To be fair, there's a lot to love.
Yes, there is. Yeah, if you've seen any of Bobcat's, like you've posted some of it on your Twitter, haven't you?
Yep, a little bit of it.
So if you've all seen her, you all know what I'm talking about. What we're talking about. But yeah, but to get back to the story and everything, so basically what happens is and after forgive me, I'm trying to remember the alias that he's using.
Soren Marlowe.
Soren Marlowe. Okay, so yeah, Soren's is British, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so he ends up going, and I'll try not to spoil too much of the book, but this is just from what I've read. So he's sent by his the beginning of it kind of reminds me of did you ever watch Jack of All Trades?
No, I don't think I have.
It's with it was an old show. It wasn't on it was only on for like a couple of years. It was with Bruce Campbell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know the one you mean.
Yeah. So the beginning of that show, it's also, by the way, it's heavily fictionalized. Don't take it as historically accurate. But
okay.
Yeah, right. But so what happens is Bruce Campbell plays this character named Jack, and he ends up sleeping with Thomas Jefferson's niece.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so when Jefferson's president of the United States, and so when he finds out, he ships Jack off to England. So when I read the beginning of this book, I went, oh, that reminds me of Jack. And I'm like, so if you watch that show, you kind of know, like, a similar setup with this book here, where Malthus ends up kind of in a similar situation, and he's shipped off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know how I don't know if you've written enough of your stuff that's gotten out there to have things that you might have done differently, or at least right. I thought about if someone were if Netflix showed up and they said, DB, we want to give you some money we're going to buy the rights to your book. I start the book at the trial, which would make sense. But I think if it was like a visual medium, I would absolutely start it off with like the actual invasion of England, because there's a lot of things that because basically the Grim Horde has invaded, and the book starts in the aftermath of the army that Malthus was part of having taken down England, and then he makes a few mistakes and gets banished.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that in especially in an anime, something like that.
Right. That's one of the interesting things about visual versus prose. Like in your comic Angel's Awakening, if you wanted to have Jessica, I don't know, if you want to have a scene start with Jessica at home with her parents in the background, just hypothetically, I don't know if her parents are alive or you could introduce her mother just in the background making breakfast or something, and you could have her father reading the newspaper. Really, and just you'd know what they would look like, and it wouldn't take up any screen time. You would just know, okay, Jessica lives at home, and here are what her parents look like. And you could surmise a lot of things about them, like how old they appeared to be, what kind of shape they're in, how they dressed, and things like that. Doing that in a novel would take like at least a page worth of material to describe all the details you can get into one picture. And that's part of why I ended up starting at the trial was, well, partially the trial scene was where like I just started writing the character one day and said, I think I can make something out of this. But the other reason is that if I started with the invasion, I would be, I don't know, 10,000 words before I got to the point.
Right. Yeah, there'd be probably be a little too much exposition, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. 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 I mean that. Yeah. I guess that you're right. Like you said, it's with the difference between a novel and a comic book is you can tell things in a shorter time frame in a comic as opposed to a novel. That's an issue I kind of ran into when I was first writing the next story that I'm working on right now, which was originally intended to be a novel, and I was just going through it, and it was just taking me so long just to get through, just to get through one scene, and so, I know full well how difficult, how much more challenging it can be. Yeah.
Right. It's also why like I wouldn't try to adapt Magpie Wizard as it currently is into a comic of some sort, because a lot of scenes are characters talking about feelings.
Yeah.
which is fun in prose, but it's just a couple of steps above Gail Simone comics talking about eating.
No, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I will say there are quite a few anime out there where you have scenes like that.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your genre too.
Yeah.
I actually really struggled with how to categorize myself. I ended up calling myself a fantasy romance on Amazon. You could have easily made the case for fantasy, post-apocalyptic. In fact, if you scroll down the page a little bit, Amazon likes to make some little. It almost assigns you your own subcategories. So you go down there to the rank.
Let's see. A little further.
Yep. Yeah, here we go. See where it says, so I've tumbled a bit in the bestsellers rank because, well, my big promotion from last week is over. You'll see it's like fantasy and futuristic romance, fantasy romance, romantic comedy. I've also seen it have me ranked in post-apocalyptic romance occasionally.
Wasn't even aware that was a genre.
So fun story there. It really isn't. A friend of mine was helping me. She has some sort of subscription service where she can look up how popular different different categories are, like different search terms on Amazon. And she looked up. I was trying different things. So when she was looking them up, you could see what different results were, like how many books there were in that category versus how many people actually searched for that term.
Yeah.
Anything about post-apocalyptic and romance and young adult and things like that, there's like a clown car's worth of books crammed into a very narrow market, which is why a lot of everybody. I was like, but wait, that can't be. The Mockingjay series was really popular. Yeah, it was really popular. And then everybody shoved their way in and tried to make their own Katniss and
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that in the literary and well, in the entertainment world in general, it's a copycat industry. You get one genre or you get one type of story that becomes very popular, then all of a sudden everybody's got to have their own story like that.
Yeah, it's it's kind of just it's what happens when you have people running things who try to it's like, okay, it's like if you have a factory that makes ball bearings, you know that if you put in X amount of metal into the machine, you'll get Y amount of ball bearings. And you know that, oh, well, we sold 3 tons of ball bearings last month. Let's try to hustle and we'll sell 3.5 tons this month. It's like, I feel like a lot of management techniques are not well suited to that sort of creative industry, right? So you have somebody like Marvel Comics goes, oh, well, this event was very popular. Let's have another event next month.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. Yeah. My internet glitched out on me.
Okay.
It happened. My internet. I have AT&T, and it gets very glitchy sometimes. Yeah.
Well, I was speaking critically about comic books, so maybe they're trying to protect DC right now.
Oh yeah, that might be it. So okay, so you were saying about
I was saying a lot of management techniques. It's like they're oriented around a non-creative industry. It's like, oh well, you can, how many calls can you answer in an hour? How many this can you do? Because you can't really measure creativity, right? So you can't measure how the audience will respond to it. So if I'm a publisher and I notice, this. My rival's doing really good numbers with this Twilight thing. Hey, you're my stable of writers. Yeah, write me a story about a sparkly vampire. Well, we could get sued. Okay, non-sparkly, but still vampire romance. It's hot right now.
Yeah.
Then everybody dog piles in until vampires. That's last year's thing. We're on to cowboys now.
Oh shit.
You laugh, but cowboy romance and Amish romance, they're huge.
Amish romance?
Amish romance, yeah. It's a thing. I can't say I've ever tried reading one, but it's a genre.
Nani? Okay.
I can imagine how, like, if you asked me, DB, how would you write a Amish romance? Like the setting would be obvious. Like it'll be almost like one of those Hallmark Christmas movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, this girl's car broke down in Amish country, and it'll be a week until the guy on horseback can deliver the letter to get the car part from the factory. But there's the hunky widower who has a couple of kids who just wants to learn to love again, and she's there to heal him. And by the time the guy on horseback comes back with the car part, she doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, there you go.
I've never read one of these books, but I imagine I just described 100 of them.
Yeah, that's probably the scenario of the majority of them. Yeah. Well, it's like that movie Witness. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I can't say I did.
Harrison Ford and Kelly McGillis. Harrison Ford plays a cop, and Kelly McGillis she's a widow Amish woman, and she's got a kid, and her kid witnesses a murder, and so so Harrison Ford has to take her and the kid go with them to their Amish community, and he's got to watch over the kid so that the people who committed the murder don't go after the kid.
So it sounds like I haven't seen that, but that seems like the logical way to write that type of story. That sounds cool.
Yeah, well, and you do get to see Kelly McGillis topless.
Gasp! A respectable Amish woman like her.
Oh yeah. Oof. But anyway, but let's get in. Let's talk about book 2. You know, because I know you've. Oh, I probably shouldn't have closed that tab, but oh well. All right. So your second book, which I'm trying to remember, when did you put that out? Was that early?
So book 2. So book 1, I launched by accident on June 30th last year. So we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary. And I say by accident because I misclicked the thing on Amazon's interface I thought I was saying, oh, launch this, or I want to have this submitted and ready to go. Where they just went, yes, here you go. Like, what? Oh. I'm live?
Oh.
Like that. I had planned one more polish round for it, but thankfully, apparently, people have liked it well enough without it. Book 2 I put out in November last year.
Okay.
And books 3 and 4 are currently in writing.
Okay. So are you going to will books 3 and 4 come out like right around the same time as each other, or one little bit after the other? Or?
I haven't quite decided yet. It kind of depends on how long it takes me to sort it out. What happened there was that I had written out an outline for book 3, and I had severely underestimated, and this is my signature move, I severely underestimated how many words it would take.
Yeah.
So like an average novel is around 70 to 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Books 1 and 2 clock in around 105 to 110. For self-published stuff, that's pretty normal to be a little bit lengthy.
Yeah.
The combined book 3-4 is currently sitting at around 170,000. And
wow.
I realized somewhere around 80,000. Crap, I'm just in the middle of the book right now.
Yeah.
Not even the middle. This was supposed to be like the Act 1 action scene.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's the real downside of writing things for serialization, is that you're kind of stuck with them. Or I shouldn't say stuck with it, but like for book 3/4 is the first book I've ever written where I didn't go back and trash half of it.
No.
At some point and start over. Book 1, what is now book 1, with my very first draft, my very first book I ever finished in 2017, is going to be wrapped up around book 4 because I did not understand pacing.
Yeah.
Things went way too fast. Book 2, I went down one path. It's like, I'm at 60,000 words, and this is kind of, I'm not going anywhere particularly interesting. And then actually, book 2 had multiple attempts, because first I tried to have a sequel based on the way too rushed book 1 before I started publishing, and then I went back and reinvented the wheel a bit. And so the combined book 3/4 is now, it's the first time I've had to actually release a first draft in public, which has been terrifying, but also like it kind of teaches you to just roll with the punches a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that can be a scary thing. You never know what the response is going to be.
Yeah, so you get some positive, you get some negative. I would say that I've gotten more positive over time than negative, and even the negative responses, it shows that people cared. They just didn't like some aspect of something I was doing. The worst thing you can get is crickets. Yeah. That's
the worst part. Is nobody is looking at it. Yeah.
Yep, and I've been very fortunate to know some people who helped me get some attention at key points to help build up some sort of audience.
Yeah. Yeah, listen.
Yes. My secret is revealed.
Yeah. Good to see you, J. James. Good to see everybody in the chat and everybody watching. We appreciate you coming in here and joining us. So let me, if you don't mind, I guess I could do, if you don't mind, some shameless self-promotion here on my part, a little bit of shelling.
Absolutely. I don't mind at all.
All right. Yeah.
In fact, I'm surprised that it's taken us a half hour into the stream to do that.
Well, all right, let's see. Well, I try not to. I'm trying not to be a selfish host. So,
selfish away.
right.
Also, for everyone out there, subscribe, smash that like button.
Yes, do all that good stuff.
Buy war bonds.
Buy war bonds. All right, so Angel's Awakening. It's my. This is my my book, my comic book. Something I've been working on for about the past year, a little over a year or so, between me writing the script and my my fine artist Bogdan Rastea doing all the illustrations and the colors. So right now we're at 44 backers, $15.95. So we're a little but halfway to funding, and 34 days left in the campaign. And if made this announcement before, but I'll make it again. If we get to funding in the next 4 days, I'll come back on this channel and I will live stream my reactions to Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah, it almost makes me want to take back my backing just to try to save you some misery.
Hey, I will suffer any kind of misery, to get this book funded and get this book into people's hands. Yeah,
let's scroll down. Do you have Manga Mama? What was her name again?
Carla Tornelia.
Carla Tornelia.
Yeah, I think that's how it's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. But yeah,
I feel like you have to hold your hand in that Italian way every time you say her name.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have the final up on here yet?
Yeah, it's down here. Let me show it. There she is. Right there.
So delightfully 80s.
Yes. Yeah. That was a happy accident, because that's kind of what I was going, a little bit of what I was going for the style and the feel of this book is definitely 80s sci-fi. I love 80s sci-fi and 80s anime manga. Yeah,
the color scheme is definitely what was the name of that show? This is going to bug me. Fortunately, I know where to find that. So, did you ever? So this is like an early YouTube thing. Did you ever see the video with like the Pac-Man fake movie trailer? It's some kind of a man, some kind of Pac-Man.
I don't know if I did.
I'll have to find it later. It's great because it's just like it's like the most try-hard bad adaptation you could possibly do. Like another ghost attack has been spotted in the city's crime district. And he's like, Pac-Man is just a guy in a generic biker outfit with a yellow helmet who chases ghosts on a motorcycle. Moonbeam City. Oh, okay. It reminds me of Moonbeam City, which was made by which is the reason I thought of that was because it was made by the same guy who did that Pac-Man thing.
Oh, okay.
Huh. And the color palette is extremely like what you're doing there.
Yeah.
In fact, let me go ahead and shoot you over. picture here so people don't have to use their imaginations on a video stream.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Like Moonbeam City is more intentionally Duran Duran, but the pinks and purples and blackness and everything just immediately made me think of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me pull that up here.
Sadly, it was a animated show on Cartoon Network that wasn't named South Park, so only lasted one short season.
Oh yeah.
But I really enjoyed myself with it.
Yeah, let me show that off for everybody here.
Is there another I guess Drawn Together lasted a few seasons, but why?
Yeah, that lasted like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, 3 or 4, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
How it definitely made me think of your stuff.
Oh yeah.
So let's trade hats for a second here. So imagine that for some reason I was blind and I was going to have somebody read me your comic book. What's it about? Like besides the art,
so it's
cool?
Well, here, let me share the screen again. But so Angel's Awakening is a story of set 100 years in the future, and it's about a spy named Jessica Sawyer. She's has the psychic ability to teleport, and she's sent on her first mission deep behind enemy lines to find a body in cryogenic stasis that this and said body will ensure the security and safety of her homeland, and that's all she is told about it. And during the course of her mission, she goes up against a powerful water elemental.
So, and as I recall from when I've heard you talk about it before, it sounds like it's. Would you say that if somebody read it, just picked it up, do you think they'd be able to enjoy themselves, or would it kind of have such a cliffhanger ending that you'd have to have a second part to get the value out of it?
I would say there is enough of a cliffhanger in there that you would definitely need to pick up the next book, but you can definitely get enjoyment out of it. Just it is somewhat of a standalone story, but
Good. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
My biggest complaint with a lot of these crowdfunded comics, and I've backed a good number of them, is that they act like the next issue is going to be out next month. When you're probably at least a year away, if it was a really a successful campaign.
Yeah, and that'll probably be the case with this, because I mean, the next book will probably start doing some concept art later in the summer, and then I think that the first I forgot to mention this to Bogdan the other night, but the first thing I want to do is the cover art on that book before anything else, and then do some interior pages, and then start doing promotions, start doing the mailing list again, doing the mailing list for that and all that stuff. So.
Right, and let's see here. I had a thought, but it drifted away. Well, you saw me talking earlier about that that video where they're talking about the glacial pace of a lot of comics. It just has struck me lately. Like, growing up, or how to put this, there's a reason I find myself not watching a lot of Netflix shows these days, and that whole it's just a long movie broken into chunks is exactly why I stopped.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what the show is, or what what genre of the show it is. They're all like that. Yeah, and that's I think that's the trend with every. It seems like every streaming show that's on streaming it's just this slow burn. It takes forever to get to get to the point. Yeah.
Yep. Now, as somebody writing a web serial that he converts into books afterwards, there's definitely the temptation to occasionally just do a holding pattern for a week.
Mm-hmm.
To because it's not like people are going to, you know, you don't notice it so much when you're doing a serialization. I try not to waste anybody's time, but I also know that if I just have a cute scene or something like that, that people will just appreciate that, even if it could technically be cut.
Yeah.
So I totally understand the temptation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm kind of facing that now with the book I'm writing. Working on now is I'm on page 48, and I'm just now on the inciting incident. So I've got some fat to trim.
All right, so tell me the truth. How many scenes of people eating and talking about cats are there?
0.
Well, you can't have a comic published in 2021 without. Didn't you read Gail Simone's big book of comic writery?
No, and I never will. I have no intention. Well. Let me say this. You know how Micah likes to say he writes black people better than Ta-Nehisi Coates. Well, I write women better than Gail Simone.
Oof. Yeah, that's statistically accurate.
Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so for anyone out there if you haven't oh, you know what? I didn't put the link to my book in the. I'll put it in. You know what? I'll put the links to my book, and I'll put the links to Bobcat's books in the chat right now. So, but yeah, I do have. There's a couple of things I wanted to. There's one thing I wanted to talk to you about that kind of it dropped today, and I don't know if you saw it, but the
Oh no.
The Powerpuff Girls live action script getting put on, getting leaked.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Nah, this is too ridiculous. There's no way this is real." And then the copyright claims came, and you had to realize, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I'm a little. Well, if they're putting copyright claims up, I better not. I better not put the. I might not want to put the script on the screen, but I can read it in my best Valley Girl voice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a cursed comment or a concept from the start. I remember there was an episode of Powerpuff Girls in the later seasons that I watched at the time and didn't think anything of, but apparently it was I think it was Craig McCracken who invented the show, and it was like a clip show of all the ideas he didn't want to do that fans kept begging him to do.
Oh.
And one of them was making the Powerpuff Girls teenagers and having them go shopping. Like, hey, remember that time that we got turned into teenagers? And I just keep thinking about that. Apparently, they had a bit in there. They made was Buttercup the green one?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Guess.
Yeah. But there's. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna take a chance here. Okay, so here's Bubbles. Blossom's fine. I saw her on Insta that she has a boyfriend. So I saw on her LinkedIn that she got promoted, and I saw on Facebook that she still talks to Grandpa despite their political differences. Buttercup coming back here is probably
objection.
True.
They're the Powerpuff Girls. How do they have a grandpa? They're made. Professor Utonium accidentally created them by adding chemical X to sugar, spice, and everything nice. But as I recall from the show, Professor Utonium was never shown having parents.
Mm.
So, so that line makes absolutely no sense. That was somebody just wanting to make fun of their politically different grandpa.
Yes.
But please continue.
Okay. Buttercup, coming back here is probably triggering for her. Bubbles, why? Because she's the one who killed Mojo? I mean, moveon.org. Okay.
How you make Bubbles the worst one is beyond me.
Well, is moveon.org still a thing?
Good question.
Yeah, because that feels like a very dated reference.
Let's find out. Apparently there is a website there, but I thought I'd heard that they had shut down or shifted focus or something like that.
Yeah, because like nobody talks about that anymore. Nobody. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Buttercup, bloss, wake up, or we'll leak your nudes online. Off Bloss's confusion. That worked for you it worked on you once.
Oh my god. I'm glad I don't have a webcam right now because I'm face palming so hard.
It's at this point, like with this stuff, you just kind of have to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Could you make a show about 3 kind of trashy teenage superheroes? Yeah, you absolutely could. You could probably, like, I feels like they're shooting for. Actually, from the clips I've seen, I'm not sure if they were shooting for commentary or if they thought they were legitimately being good or what.
Mm-hmm.
But you could absolutely make a good story out of 3 superpowered teenage ex-superheroes who go out there and are basically e-thoughts. There's a story there.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be the beloved children's cartoon?
I don't know. Name recognition, I guess. Yeah.
And you thought you couldn't get it worse when the guy who ran the 2016 Powerpuff Girls reboot introduced his own character to the show to be a love interest for Blossom.
No. Yeah. Well, there is more.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. Bubbles. Look, we loved being Powerpuff Girls, but sometimes we wanted to be other things too. Like in Dirty Dancing, Baby wanted to join the Peace Corps, but she also wanted to be a fancy slut, and her dad didn't get it. Drake, emotional. Jerry Orbach was doing his best to understand.
So, if I recall correctly, Drake was he one of the Rowdy Rough Boys? A second.
I don't know.
Right. Drake, Powerpuff Girls. So they had these. So one of the villains, Mojo Jojo, had at one point made the Rowdy Rough Boys out of Snips and Snails and Puppy Dog Tails with Chemical X. But one of them could have been named Drake. I couldn't tell you. But anyways, it's like what, or just the Canadian rappers in the show for some reason.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, here's the best part. Interior Powerpuff Girls home, hallway, Buttercup's room, day. Blossom heads upstairs where the bumping sound continues from Buttercup's room, then abruptly stops. Blossom opens the door and finds Buttercup in bed with Macie, the woman she eyed at the bar the night before. They've just finished. Blossom, oh God, I'm sorry. Buttercup, it's fine. To Macie, we're done, right? Macie, I'd say 6 times is enough.
So there is nothing in Magpie Wizard that's sexual.
Well, and there's nothing like that in Angel's Awakening.
Yeah. But that was so honestly that page there So like the first few pages you read, I was like, okay, I could see somebody writing that, submitting it, and an editor approving it.
Mm-hmm.
That page you just read off made me go, okay, this might be fake. Because like, but apparently it's real enough for them to go after people for.
Yeah. Well, when I read, I was watching uh, Az and Gary from Nerdrotics stream, and they were reading that, and of course, I don't know if you've ever watched Az's Batwoman reviews.
Heels versus Babyface, right?
Yeah, Hales. Yeah, and he just they're fucking scissoring.
Oh, again, it's like it's I think what's weird is that I'm not so much disgusted or worried. I'm less critical of the. I think 6 times was enough part of it than the awful dialogue about the dirty dancing about it. Like
Yeah.
it's just not good. Like it's not clever. It's not creative. It's
No.
like I hate dialogue that feels like somebody's Twitter feed.
Yeah, it feels like mindless chit chat, and it's just doesn't need to be there.
No, and I'm not like a Powerpuff Girls stan or anything. Like I don't want to meet somebody who is, honestly.
No, yeah,
But I like that show enough to be kind of offended that they would do this to it. Not just
yeah,
like it'd be one thing if you actually had to contend with a good show taking something from your childhood and adultifying it pointlessly. But
yeah,
having to deal with it also being terrible.
yeah. Well, it's almost like they're trying to make Powerpuff Girls like Sex in the City.
Oh God, you're right.
Yeah, just no. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for Sex in the City.
I mean, there are people who relate to Sex in the City.
Hmm.
The big, like one of the, it was much more fun criticizing comic books before I watched Perch because he had a better, like, or not a better, like he had an alternate take that made sense of the facts. So now I have to contend with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not the problem with a lot of these media properties isn't so much that there is no audience for them. It's more that they're trying to shoehorn. It's more they're trying to take a property that goes for one audience and make it into something that they would watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, Powerpuff, like adult, I don't know, the Thought Sisters. I don't know, the Super Thoughts, whatever you would want to call it. Like you could totally have a show about that and talk about the vapidity of stardom and and have a character arc where they realize that they really should be heroes, even if the world has forgotten that they needed heroes.
Yeah.
Like I almost want to write that story now because, like I said before, the best ideas come out of spite.
Yeah.
But it's not Powerpuff Girls.
No.
And so you've made this terrible idea where it's like, so we're going to piss off everybody who likes the show, right? And people who didn't grow up watching the show will look it up, see the cartoon show, and not watch it, right? Well,
yeah.
But brand synergy. What possibly is synergistic about it? Oh, I forgot the funniest / saddest thing. They made Buttercup was the green one. I had to look it up.
Okay.
Her actress is black in there, which was not black in the original. And they have a joke in there where, we sold our rights to the comedy or not to Cartoon Network, and they totally whitewashed the cast. And it's like, so you're trying to claim that you're the canon version? Okay.
Oh, jeez.
I don't even necessarily mind for those. Like, I'm not a Stalker fan or anything like that. It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Are you trying to give ammo? Are you trying to get Jeremy from the Quartering another shed? Because Brie Larson already got him a shed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can call him Jeremy Two Sheds Hambly.
Two Sheds. Oh, that guy. Yeah.
But
part of me wants to like him, but then the other part of me is just like, okay, this guy is really annoying.
yeah, there are very few people who I find I can stand to follow on YouTube for any length of time.
Yeah, yeah, because after a while, their heads get to be a little too big, and then that's why you don't want to be a YouTuber.
Right, which is ironically advice that Jeremy himself has given.
Yeah, he's a don't quit your day job.
Yep. It's interesting. It's an interesting game we're playing here.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I remember when you were mentioned about with taking like a property and trying to get it into shoehorning in with and a different audience. I feel like that's what they're doing with Star Trek. I don't know if you've been following anything with Star Trek.
I was following it for a bit. I eventually concluded that people like well, I won't name names. Just some of them I realized wait. You said the second season was the last season, and now the third season is the last season, and now the fourth season is the last season.
Yeah.
You're gonna eventually say my inside sources that totally existed were right about this being the last season of Discovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like Discovery, just having things like what was it, sonar in space.
Yeah. There are so many things wrong with that show. I watched. I actually Paramount Plus had a free month, so I did that and I watched the third season of Discovery, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't watched that show at all.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I watched Picard too, and
no, Picard sounded like it was designed to make you never want to think about Star Trek again.
It was, yeah, and what they did to that character, what they did to that man is criminal, absolutely criminal. Just they took this beloved character, this iconic, starship captain, and just completely emasculated him. Just,
and the nuts thing is that Patrick Stewart was apparently totally on board with it,
which I don't understand. It's just
the thing you realize about Patrick Stewart is that he's good at sounding smart, but he's not actually all that smart.
Yeah,
like I weirdly enjoy reading and watching things about the behind the scenes of Star Trek more than Star Trek itself. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Every time in any sort of like review or commentary, and Patrick Stewart this episode wanted to do da 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 da. It's always it never goes well. There's some people you just don't let you don't let William Shatner direct a Star Trek movie. You don't let Patrick Stewart have a seat in the writing room.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened with Insurrection, the movie. They apparently he contributed quite a bit to that script, and if anyone has seen Insurrection, that movie wasn't very good.
Oh no! Yeah, I think he wanted the dune buggy scene, which basically looked like Halo almost.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was in Nemesis.
Nemesis. Okay, I was thinking of the wrong. The bad Star Trek movies kind of blended together.
Oh yeah. Insurrection's the one with the planet that's the fountain of youth.
Oh yeah, with the elves. Not literally elves, but like metaphorically elves.
Well, yeah, metaphorical elves. Yeah, space elves. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, Stewart wanted to add more humor to the movie, and puff up Picard a bit more, and it was horrible. And it was so disappointing. It was disappointing too because that movie was after First Contact, and First Contact to me is right up there with Wrath of Khan in terms of being one of the best movies in the franchise.
I don't know how I would rank it these days, but it's definitely the best of the Next Generation movies, and definitely better than all like the lower tiers of the. It's definitely no Star Trek 5.
No, yeah, no. It's not Star Trek 5. Yeah.
So is it just me, or is Star Trek: The Next Generation the last really workable, like, refresh of a franchise? Like, think about how many times they try to do that thing where, oh, we're going to jump 30 years ahead, we're going to jump 10 years ahead, and now the show's about the kids of the original, or it's like the descendants of the original, or like, how few series have actually pulled that off as well as Next Generation did?
Yeah, probably not very many. Yeah. I well, and with Next Generation, it wasn't a cakewalk. I mean, the first two seasons were horrible. Well, not horrible. I mean, there were some good episodes in there, but
Uneven, if we wanted to be charitable.
yeah, yes, uneven. I would, yeah, that would be the right word, uneven. It was, they were going through writers like toilet paper, for those first two seasons, and then second season was worse because it was during the writer's strike.
Every time there's a writer strike, the writer strike is part of why we didn't get a Justice League movie in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there were a lot. That strike killed a lot of projects. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's why, like, if the opportunity ever came, I would never join the Writers Guild. No, I would never do it.
yeah. If only just for the risk that you might be in the middle of something big and something you're not allowed to work. Although you have to imagine they're scabbing some. Or working like, oh no, I'm totally not working on anything, guys. Wink, wink.
Yeah, and they're just not getting credited. That's actually how Carrie Fisher made her living for a long time when she wasn't acting. She'd do like a lot of uncredited script rewriting.
I think I heard about that. The only one I can think of off the top of my head was I think she was involved with When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, yeah. She worked on a lot of movies, and that nobody knew about. She was basically a script doctor. Yeah.
Which it pays well, and it makes it's an important job.
Yeah.
Well, there's a level where it's like, just write right the first time, you idiots.
Yeah.
Like, and where was the script doctor for Powerpuff Girls?
Out of town on vacation.
It declared it terminal and refused to treat it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think just to tie it all together, that's part of why I've been glad I've had things to create, just because I haven't found a lot of new media I want to consume lately. Like, I've been, I've mentioned Perch a couple of times. I like the Comics by Perch channel just because they'll periodically do a retrospective, and I'll hear about a new comic book series I never even considered before.
Yeah.
Like I said, I never did read Spawn. Let's give that a shot. Or, I never did try out. I never did give Scott Pilgrim a shot. I didn't like Scott Pilgrim in the end, but I can be informed about it now.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is it like way too easy with YouTube content to feel like you've read things that you just watched 3 or 4 videos about? Like,
yes.
I could talk about Star Trek Discovery at some length without ever having actually turned on the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot of lather, rinse, repeat. Yeah.
Which is why I like the channels like this one where people are out there being creative, making their own things and trying to make it. I admire that hustle. I am that hustle.
Yeah. I think that's really, the way. I think that's the way forward. Is, you can only complain about something for so long, and then it's like, okay, well, if you don't like it, why don't you do something on your own? And here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good length for this stream. Bobcat, you got any have any last words?
Um, put me on. Yeah. If you're going to take a kid's property and turn it into adult property, don't. Just make a new adult property.
Yes.
They did the same thing to Winx Club, apparently. I know nothing about Winx Club, but all the Winx Club's fans sound so sad.
No.
It's like, why bring more misery into the world? Make something that makes people have a shot at being happy.
Yeah. Yes. So.
Yep. So everyone go back Angels Awakening, buy 6 copies.
Yes. Back Angels Awakening. Get a few copies of Confessions of the Magpie Wizard, books 1 and 2.
Yep, 3 and 4 coming out later this year.
Yes. All right. Bobcat, thank you very much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who came in to join us and watch us talk about books and writing. Stay tuned. There will be more streams coming up in the future. My name is Daniel Parker. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Good night.
Good night, everyone.